Trustees Hebda,
Here.
Schultz, Marport,
Here?
Cook,
Here.
Williams. Here.
We have a quorum present. The meeting's called to order. Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Oh, boy. Okay. All right. Are there any citizens that wish to address the board on anything other than what's on committee of the whole? Because if it's on committee of the whole, then you could address this stuff. Oh, we got a lot of petitioners here, right? Okay. First item, appointment of Tim Grieve to the position of village trustee in Vernon Hills.
So
You
moved.
have to come up.
The altar.
Okay, you want to do that?
I want to do that.
Okay.
A
All right,
motion.
there's a motion,
Second.
second. I guess roll call.
Trustee Schultz, Trustee Marport,
Aye.
Trustee Cook,
Aye.
Trustee Williams. Aye. Trustee Hebda.
Aye.
And for the record, I'd vote aye.
There you go.
Okay. Do you have anybody who wants to
Swear at you.
swear you in? No. You got a daughter, you got a daughter here? Or?
Oh, she can do it?
Sure.
Yeah,
Right?
if he wants to,
Yes.
Yeah,
if you want to.
the daughter can do it. Okay, Megan, get up here.
I think that's the way it should be.
Yeah, take the coat off,
Pictures, all that good
photo op. Okay, hold on to this. Oh, you gotta read
You gotta
this.
read it, though.
This is a chance for you to tell your father he's gotta say this exactly. So you go down to the presentation altar.
Face each other. There you go.
Okay, so official commission, Village of Vernon Hills, Tim Grieve, having been duly appointed to the office of village trustee and in for the Village of Vernon Hills, County of Lake, State of Illinois, for the term,
Which one do you
Oh, I gave you
got
the
the
wrong
wrong
one.
one.
Oh, my God. Which one is this?
that's,
That was a trick one.
yeah, I think I'm just reading.
That's the
Oh, my
commission. This
God.
is the
Oh,
sworn in.
You know.
Oh, okay.
Well, I would hope, for those watching at home, this obviously wasn't rehearsed.
No, okay.
And this is
So
really
you're
not
the
the
old-
first time
Okay,
we've done this.
well, now you're over your stage fright, so now you can do it.
Okay,
Okay.
so I, Tim Grieve,
I, Tim Grebe,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Illinois,
and the Constitution of the State of Illinois,
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties
of the office of the village trustee
of the office of the village trustee
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability.
Dated this 3rd day of November, 2015.
Dated
Hey.
the third-
All right. Here, give me that, you can kiss your father,
Thank you.
Okay.
because you're on TV,
It's like our wedding.
and then I have to sign it. Okay, Megan? Who signs this one?
No, he only signs one.
What do you, who signs?
You
I know.
sign here,
Who signs this one?
Tim does.
Tim does, and John
Oh,
does.
Tim does, okay. Well, you could sit down then.
Jimmy,
Yeah.
You're right here.
I'll sign that one too when you're done.
turn his name tag.
Is that it?
There you go.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. Okay.
Yes,
Yep,
that's the correct seat, yes.
okay.
Correct. I prefer. I could move it.
Really?
Oh, he's at the right place.
It's okay.
Really?
I have kids
Well, as
on
long as
the
it,
gym
it
every
will
now and then.
jump into it.
Leave Jim here.
Mine's
All
different.
right, fine.
Oh, no, it's
Okay,
supposed to be that way.
that's
No, it doesn't matter.
Okay. All right, blah, blah, blah. The appointment of Assistant Finance Director, Nikki Larson, to the position of Finance Director Treasurer for the village. Now, there's no oath here, right?
Job.
Correct.
What, is the husband here?
You can't get it done.
Wait a second, there's no games on tonight.
No. I think he'll be here in January.
Okay, Bulls in northern Toledo, okay, great. All right, well, Nikki, we obviously need a motion, right?
So moved.
Second.
Motion is second to appoint Nikki Larson to the position of Finance Director, Treasurer of the Village of Vernon Hills, taking over for who?
Larry.
Who you taking over for, Nikki? Larry who? Larry's been with us since '84. And Larry is apparently ready to retire. Is that true?
Oh, very much so.
Her appointment doesn't take, her appointment takes effect on January the 7th.
Oh, yeah. And Nikki will actually be officially, Treasurer, Finance Director, January 7th, 2016.
Right.
Is that right, Larry? Are you gonna be here till at least the 6th?
His door is revolving.
Yeah. All right, okay, hey, what did you say? Okay.
He doesn't want to go running into this thing, right, Larry? You want to just kind of slide in there, nice and easy.
Do you wanna hang around at all, or?
Not really?
I'm a proud Vernon Hills resident, but as far as,
Well, I mean, but Nikki can call you.
oh, Nick, yeah, certainly Nikki can call me, but the.
Do we have that in Larry's like going away package that Nikki
He
can
wants
call
it
him?
writing?
And then he has to respond?
We'll have an interpersonal agreement with
There
him
you
or
go.
something like that that provides all phone numbers.
He signed.
Just a handshake, right? Well, you know what though, Larry? That's great. Because, no, you've done a great, great job. So, okay, so you're embarrassed now, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, yeah, all right. Okay, well, hey, we only got till the 7th of January, so this could go on for a couple of months. All right,
Oh, poor Larry.
all right, whatever. Okay, next is,
Well, we got to vote on it.
we gotta vote.
Go vote.
Okay, let's vote. Roll call.
Trustees Markwart,
Aye.
Cook,
Aye.
Grieve,
Aye.
Williams,
Aye.
Hebda,
Aye.
Schultz.
I'd say aye too, for the record.
President Byrne.
Motion,
Tim, it'll be easy for you to
aye,
remember what
motion
your
carries.
first was.
Yeah, exactly.
Who clapped on
My
her?
first one
The-
was on a
The chief?
budget.
Okay. So she hasn't hurt you yet? Okay. All right, good. All right, village manager, fiscal year 2016-17 budget preparation.
Thank you, Your Honor. In your packet is a kind of an outline of what we're going to be doing for our budget for 2016, 2017. And I just wanted to give you a quick overview. Basically, what we're going to be doing as a part of the preparation is preparing two budgets that will be brought before you at some point after the first of the year. The first budget's going to reflect a normal operating budget and will be just like what we've done in the past. The second budget, however, is going to reflect a 5% cut in operating budget over last year's original budget. And, quite honestly, this reduced budget is based on the assumptions that the state of Illinois may cut LGDF or local distributed fund monies by as much as 50%, which we believe they may use to balance their own budget.
For those watching at home, when this airs, what does that mean?
I'm sorry?
Which revenue source is going to be cut?
The LGDF or income tax, that we are projecting about a 50% reduction in that, so that for us equates to about $1.2 million. We're also going to be looking at potential loss of motor fuel tax monies in the amount of somewhere in the neighborhood of $350,000. Again, that's an assumption that we're making in preparation of next year's budget. So what we're trying to do, I think, is to give you a budget that will sustain our day-to-day operations and contain some limited capital program while also providing some flexibility and options for adding back capital items as the future state funding becomes clearer. Doing the budget this year is going to be a challenge. We're a little bit more fortunate than some other communities. I mean, you're going to hear from Dave tonight in the first presentation of the CIP plan. Tonight, we're not asking for approvals on that plan, but he's seeking your thoughts and input with regards to going forward. And we're going to use that plan, as you see tonight, as the basis for formulating the FY 16-17 budget. At some point, we'll bring it back to you guys. The hope is that when we begin to have our hearings, that we will have a definitive direction from Springfield in terms of what the impacts are going to be going forward.
So this process truly won't start rolling till after January.
Well, you won't see the budget
Based on anything going on.
Right.
In Springfield.
I mean, you have a schedule in your packet that kind of gives you an outline of what we're going to be working on in November and December from a staff's point of view. We'll begin to have our own internal budget meetings in January, and then we'll be bringing the budget to you likely in February, I believe. So the hope is that in January, as the rumors that we hear, that the state will get it in gear and get serious about doing something down there. Right now, as you know, they're holding about $90,000 a month from us. We're not receiving any MFT monies at all. User taxes are being held. E911 funds are being held at this point. And again, that equates to about $90,000, almost $100,000. So, and that's on a monthly basis right now. So, our salt bins are full, so we're good to go from that standpoint. And El Nino is supposed to really rev up, I guess, this year. So it'll be interesting to see where the winter goes.
And I just want to ask Dave Brown, Public Works Director, does any of this budget stalemate in Springfield affect IDOT's ability to buy salt?
I have not heard that from IDOT, that they would not be able to purchase salt, but we're not hearing much from Springfield.
Maybe I can comment on that. I actually read an article this morning that says that IDOT has basically 100% of all of their bins throughout the state full at this point. And they have a contract that has already been approved for an additional 500,000 tons. So if we have the worst winter on record, they have the ability to acquire more salt.
So even though we don't pay them, they'll deliver.
You know what?
Because eventually they figure we'll pay them.
It did not comment on how the pay would be done.
Or you call, what is it?
911.
No. You call Heinz's cousin or nephew that actually fronts money to people that are, their bills, haven't been paid. And then he gets them paid, but he gets to keep 10%.
Okay.
Has anybody read these articles? Am I the only one who reads the Sun Times? In essence, which is, anyway.
So that's a general gist of where we're gonna be going with the budget this year, and again, we'll be seeing you guys in early February
All right.
to start our conversations, so, thank you.
Okay.
I just have a quick,
Trustee Hib,
I noticed that on the schedule, the first actual board meeting that you would try to present this would be the 1st of March, and then the next one would be the 15th. So I'd like to ask the board to keep your schedules open for the other Tuesdays, should we need to go further, which would be the 8th and the 22nd, because then you go into spring break at the end of March. So hopefully, Tim, just for your own information, being a new, we try to keep our Tuesdays available should we need an extra meeting or whatever, so.
Right.
So, because that, it may, with a discussion of two, that may take a little bit longer.
And we don't want to make Nikki nervous by not having it done.
Yeah. Right, so, and that way we'll get it done.
yeah, okay.
Yeah. Because it looks
Okay.
like that's what you're gonna go.
Right.
all right, so, right, okay, blah, 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 blah. Architectural requirement for new commercial and residential construction.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just wanted to give the board a quick heads up. We've included in your transmittal packet for this week a summary that looks at potential code amendments that would require the exclusive or at least substantial use of masonry brick or natural stone on new buildings for both residential and commercial uses. As the board is aware, currently we rely on the PUD regulations and approval process in applying conditions to different developments, including the architectural design and the approved exterior materials. What's being considered now is an amendment to the code that would require, again, exclusive or substantial use of brick, such that if someone or a developer wanted to use less than that, it would require a variation and would give the board, in all probability, more authority in regulating those types of materials. So again, just a quick heads up to look for that in your transmittal and review it. At this time, staff is just looking for your thoughts and comments prior
Well,
to
since
moving
I'm the
forward.
one who's the perpetrator here, will this come back at our next meeting this month?
It could come back.
Right.
Yes.
Okay, and is, it's gonna affect someone sitting in this audience tonight,
Oh, several.
okay? And this requires, masonry and stone products. I don't care if it's residential, retail, or commercial.
Right.
And, I'm sure after this meeting, we can share, whatever information we have accumulated from the transmittal, right? With, certain, whoever the petitioners are, yeah. Which, in all honesty, we, as a community, we don't have as much land as we used to. So, people that want to develop here, we just want to make sure, it's, it is as upscale as sometimes when we're sitting in rooms, don't worry about a thing, don't worry about a thing. And then, sometimes that don't worry about a thing doesn't always come to fruition. So, in essence, this is, strengthening our ordinance on, exterior elevation building materials. And it affects, some of the people sitting in this room tonight. So, and I just wanted, and that's why it's on the agenda tonight, at least a brief discussion of it. But, some of you guys are probably our last hurrah.
Yeah.
I don't see all the heads nodding back there.
You're all going, oh, no.
Really, come on, and this affects like, retail development too, like it's 60 and 21. Which, if that comes to fruition, so be it, but, you know, we just want to make sure, you know, the standards are held to, you know, a higher level. So there, anyway, I'll open it up to the board. Does anybody else have comments on this, or?
No, it's,
Nope, okay.
Fine with-
So we're gonna bring this back. Okay, all right, fine.
I'll have some draft text language put together for you to
Yeah.
review and consider.
Okay, omnibus vote agenda. Is there a motion to approve items A through K? And/or is there any reason to pull anything for discussion?
Second.
Motion is second. Roll call.
Trustees Williams?
Aye.
Hebda?
Aye.
Schultz? Markport?
Aye.
Cook?
Aye.
Reed?
Motion carried. Designation of FAUS, FAUS routes within the village per Dave Brown.
Thank you. This was presented to the board previously, and we've reviewed different opportunities for federal aid to urban system routes. It allows for federal funding for those projects. As the state funding is less reliable, we're looking at these roads should be federally eligible, so therefore we're adding more of these routes to the FAUS system. A map demonstrates which locations are proposed, and there's 11 of them identified in the packet. Staff recommends the following additions to the FAUS network. If the village board concurs, staff will petition to have these roadway segments added to the system. Staff would also draft a letter for the mayor's signature to inform the council's LDOT transportation coordinator of the village's decision. A separate resolution is required by the council after reviewing the village's requested application. These steps will allow a project to be considered for federal funding, and the map and the list identifies which locations. I can read them to you, or it's open for any input from the board.
Does this affect Route 60?
It would only be the roadways that are village-owned, so it would not have an impact to Route 60.
Well, would it have an effect at 60 Lakeview and Phillips?
60 Lakeview and Phillips. The Lakeview project itself would benefit from this, and we would have it eligible for federal funding, and we would be able to receive 70% funding. There is a potential for the federal program that they may be transferring, instead of 70-30, they may be going to 80-20, which is even more beneficial to us. We would pay the 20%. So
Is Milwaukee on this, Route 21 on this drawing?
So Milwaukee Avenue is already a state, on the state system, so it is not needed to be added to as a FAUS network. The FAUS networks are local streets that are more in the arterial classification or collector. And so ones like Greg's Parkway or Huntington, the Lakeviews.
Would Fairway and Ring Road benefit?
Fairway, so Ring is private. It used to be on the FAUS network till they found out it was private. And so as part of this program, they are removing it. And so
Would Fairway at 60?
Fairway will definitely benefit, and Fairway, as part of our extension previously, did use federal dollars, and it will remain on the FAUS system. So yes, Fairway would definitely benefit, and any programs on Fairway would be eligible.
Okay. All right. What, do you need a motion?
So my recommendation is staff requests concurrence of the proposed additions to the FAUS and a motion to direct staff to prepare a letter for the mayor's signature.
Yeah, this map is better because it includes all the things we talked about the last time you brought it to us. And the additions are pretty much cover us for what we need in terms of being able to get Vernon on the road. So I'll make the motion
Motion is second, roll call.
Trustees Hebda,
Aye.
Schultz, Marport,
Aye.
Cook,
Aye.
Grieve,
Aye.
Williams.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you.
This doesn't, and of course, with 45, that's already a U.S. designated route, right? So we might get help from,
Different funding source, we would end up talking to our representatives and asking them to really push Route 45 so it could be widened, and I think that would have a great benefit to Vernon Hills.
okay. All right, thanks. All right. New business communication, approval and passage of resolution 2015-162, resolution urging Illinois state leaders to release non-general fund revenues payable to local governments. Wow.
Your Honor, IML, the Illinois Municipal League, has requested that communities consider entering into or passing resolutions requesting that the state release those funds which they are currently holding, specifically funds such as MFT, use tax, video gaming, which we don't have, and 911 fees, and or all non-general fund revenues that have otherwise been previously distributed to local governments. These are pass-through monies collected by the state, but then immediately remitted back to the local municipalities that are now being held up downstate. IML has requested that that you all consider this resolution with the idea if you feel it appropriate to pass it, that it would then be forwarded on to our local legislators prior to the next session of the General Assembly, which is scheduled on November 10th. It would also be forwarded on to the governor and the legislative leaders requesting their concurrence with this resolution. So it's before you tonight. Resolution 2015-162 is provided for your consideration, and I'll try to answer any other questions that you might have with regards to it.
Any comments or questions from the board?
Motion to
Trustee
approve.
Cook,
Prove it.
No,
okay?
it's me.
Oh, trustee Hebda. Well,
I
I
don't-
took my glasses off, I apologize.
I don't have a problem passing this resolution whatsoever. What I have a problem with is I'd like to have our legislators come and explain to me and to this community what is going on in Springfield.
I thought we
And if
invited
they're not
them.
going to come, then that's really.
No,
I need,
maybe I can explain, because I did have a chance to talk with Roger about it and everything associated with it, and they're happy to come and have that conversation.
What a
But but honestly, there isn't much to say, and Joe and I were at a legislative breakfast along with Trustee Schultz on Monday, and it's very difficult, and there really isn't anything for them to say because it's all locked up with the leadership, the four leaders and the governor in terms of talking or not talking. So
I think it's lack thereof.
that's
I
where.
think there's a new kind of Bermuda Triangle, between now Cullerton
It's almost a parade,
Madigan.
Clover.
and the Raminator. They're all getting buddies, which is great. But Ram forgets how much money he made in deals with Rauner,
Mhm.
That was highly reported in the papers.
So
Right, Larry? Business deals, great
I,
things.
they're happy to
Well,
come.
and just, okay. I said I was gonna be good, but sometimes
I'm
it's
gonna
hard.
start beating this.
Right,
dog.
John?
Yes.
I don't think certain members of our Lake County caucus, don't want to stand there and me sit here. And in all honesty, Terry Link and Carol Senti, Duffy's invited, Sullivan's invited, and I even told John, I'll step down from the dais. I'll just go sit in the audience, maybe by the press, and I'll try to be good.
Oh,
You'll try.
And then you know, the rest of the board can query, you know, these people.
It's
so.
just,
But I mean, you know, I don't know, it's a foobar. Okay. You wanna
So
keep
there's-
moving here, or you wanna
please.
keep, okay.
well, I hope that, you know, even though all these papers are gonna go down there, and everyone's gonna sign these resolutions, you wonder, is the voice really gonna be heard? And it's probably not gonna be heard, and we're gonna sit here in January and have to cut and make budget discussions and decisions.
Right.
And we've balanced our budget, we've taken care of business here, and now we're expected to, and I understand everyone's gotta hurt a little bit, I know that, but it's just extremely frustrating, and I guess, since you see Carol, or you know, I'd love to, you know, let my voice be heard along with many other residents that say, enough is enough. And I'm not sure what it's gonna take, but some of these people need to step away then maybe and let others go down there and work it out.
Well, and again,
We've been saying that for a while.
Yeah, we have been.
Right.
they are, my indication in talking with them, with Carol specifically on Monday, was they're happy to come and tell you what they know.
know.
And the like. They're happy to do it. And if you'd like, I can invite them to the November 17th meeting. I can bring them in for December, you know, however you want. It just, I don't think you're going to hear what you're hoping to hear, because because.
And tell them I promise to go sit next to the press.
Yeah, I think you should stay where you're at.
No, I think you need to be,
I think you need to be. up
You know,
there.
I mean, but it sounds like they're not interested in coming in.
I mean, I don't even know the last time that any of our legislators have come to give an update on anything.
And don't get me
no.
wrong, you know, Sullivan, Duffy, you know, it would be nice, but Christ, you know, they're all gonna do a mea
I mean,
culpa.
personally, yes, I'd like them to come, I'd like
Yeah.
to talk to them, and like to hear what their plan of action is, if there is any.
How about if I look to invite them to the December 8th
That's
board meeting?
Yes.
And, because they may be in transit with regards to the next round of meetings downstate, but if we can, I will put out the invitation for December 8th, and we'll put them first on the agenda,
Right.
and
Well,
we'll,
and at
And they
least
can come in
talk,
and
They can come in.
do their thing and
Right.
whatever.
And our
I agree
community,
with that.
people could hear what they're saying and where
Right.
they're coming from, and
Right.
maybe,
we'll do it.
I think it'd be, I personally would like, I don't know about the rest of the board, but I personally would like to ask some
Well,
questions.
Cindy, I'm the one who asked
I knew
2
you
weeks ago,
I know you did.
and, you know,
And I don't
I
have
think
any,
it came back to me that, you know, they're concerned about some of my questions. That's what I think.
In the meantime, I make a
Mick,
motion to approve.
you picking up on this now?
2015-162.
I'm just saying.
Second.
Thank you.
What is it?
We motioned and seconded the resolution.
Okay, are there any other comments or questions? Roll call.
Trustee Schultz. Markwart.
Aye.
Cook.
Aye.
Grebe. Williams.
Aye,
Hebda.
I,
Motion carries.
and we look forward to seeing them on the 6th or 8th, what is it?
On the 8th,
Eighth.
December 8th.
Okay.
Thank you. I guess that's it.
Any other new business or communication or other items to come before the board? None? Okay. Do we need to recess? No.
No, I do have a question.
Okay.
Did we change, or do we have an ordinance, something about, maybe we changed it, about a 30-day on holiday or decorations type thing? And I asked that because on the way here tonight, I was coming down Aspen, and there's Christmas lights up already.
Wow.
I mean, I love Christmas lights, don't get me wrong, but I thought,
Well, Halloween's over. Come on. You know.
We do have, you know, we do have an ordinance, and it says that the decorations need to be taken down no later than 30 days after.
I knew there was something about 30 days. It's after, not before.
I'll double
That's
check
fine.
the section anyways to see if there's some previous language in there. I'm not sure that there is, though.
I just thought it was
They were
interesting.
trying to beat the weather.
They almost beat the stores.
Okay.
That would have to be in September.
Any other new business or communication to come before the board? If not,
So we need to go to closed session or executive session?
are we going now?
No, sir, after the committee of the whole.
Okay.
It's
Or-
primarily personnel
Okay.
and ongoing litigation.
All right. Okay, is there a motion to adjourn the board meeting?
So made.
Second?
Motion is second. Roll call, please.
Trustees Markwart,
Aye.
Cook,
Aye.
Grieb,
Aye.
Williams,
Aye.
Hebda,
Aye.
Motion
So-
carries. Approval of the committee of the whole meeting minutes of October 20th, 2015.
Motion to approve. Second?
Any comments, questions, or corrections, deletions? If not, roll call.
Trustees Hebda,
Aye.
Schultz, Markwart,
Aye.
Cook,
Aye.
Grieb,
Aye.
Williams.
Aye.
Motion carries. Now, we're gonna jump around here a little bit, right?
The first one's pulled,
2 is pulled, right?
yes.
Correct.
Okay. Next is
Well,
We're
do you
gonna
want,
jump that one.
you were saying,
Dave.
Dave agreed.
Yeah, Dave, you're okay, right? Okay, so we're gonna jump to 4, concept presentation for a residential development to be located at the Cuneo Museum and Gardens, or is it Mansion and Grounds now?
It says
Has that all been
Mansions and
changed legally?
Ah,
Is it? Well, why is it on here?
grounds, this is,
It says
Grounds.
Mansion and Grounds, you know? That's
Cuneo
still,
Mansion and Grounds and
that's still
Associated Cuneo Mansion
considered,
and
you
Grounds.
know, one of the castles of America?
well, you know what, though, go down to the next paragraph.
I was reading
This
that.
is
You know.
garden.
Research
All right,
garden.
and Associated Cuneo Mansion and Gardens Preservation and Campus Development Agreement.
All right, somebody put the air conditioning on.
Thank you, Your Honor. The item before you is separated into 2 parts, items A and items B. For the purpose of discussion, I'll touch on both at the same time. Our Pulte Homes and Loyola are both present tonight, in case you do have any questions while I discuss these items. As you know, Loyola University acquired the 93-acre mansion and gardens property in 2010.
What does acquired mean?
Received,
To re- yeah,
It was
entitled,
given to them.
Given.
yes, through the
Is that
Cuneo.
the same vernacular?
yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So they received it through the Cuneo Foundation.
Right.
And it was placed through the endowment, which they are required to hold on to the mansion property until 2030. Due to the conditions of the mansion at the time of receiving the property, over $1.5 million was invested back into maintaining and repairing the mansion. An additional $2 million has been identified as needing to be taken place for additional maintenance and repair. In light of these upkeep demands, Loyola has worked with Pulte Homes, who's offered to purchase 53 acres of the property to construct 128 single-family homes, which is identified in section, or item A, in this topic. Pulte is here to discuss the proposal. It's, again, 128 single-family homes ranging between 2,300 and 3,500 square feet with 3 to 5 bedrooms and 2.5 to 3 car garages with a residential density of about 0.4 units per acre. In regards to that, if the committee wishes to have them move forward, they can be directed to technical review and planning and zoning commission at a later date. Now, I say these 2 items are together because item B discusses what happens with the land proceeds as it relates to the sale to Pulte Homes. Because of the additional costs to maintain the mansion, Loyola is intending to utilize a portion of the land sale proceeds towards the maintenance and repair work. As part of that, the village and Lake County with Loyola have worked together to draft a preservation and campus development agreement, which will outline agreements and to put in place for how those funds will be utilized. Part of that is the establishing of a escrow account between Loyola and the village, the amount of $3 million, which will be utilized for the repairs that need to be taking place in addition. It also outlines mechanisms where the village, the government, and other entities may be able to purchase the Cuneo Mansion and grounds at a later date, subject to Loyola's concurrence or agreement. However, none of this is possible without the approvals and entitlements from Lake County and the village as it relates to the development for the residential component.
Yeah. Is that it?
That's it.
Okay. Does anybody have any questions? Trustee Cook.
I still don't like the 22 or 23 homes that are at the very southern end of it, because it blocks any view of the mansion and the grounds that were in front of the mansion from Milwaukee Avenue. I've maintained that since the first day we saw this concept, and I still have that same objection. I feel more comfortable now with the agreement, and I've talked to Mr. Lawler a couple times about it. I feel quite a bit more comfortable with the agreement that the mansion will stay like it is, but I still have serious problems with that little chunk of homes that comes to the south, because this, as the mayor alluded to earlier, is still shows up on A&E and other TV stations as one of the mansions in America.
Yes.
And it would totally eliminate any view of it from Milwaukee Avenue, which a lot of the year you can, as you drive by, see it. And would just, now you'd be looking back in at a subdivision off Milwaukee Avenue. So that's my main piece of objection. Otherwise, I think the homes are, the architecture is good, the style of homes and everything else about it I like.
Okay. Any other comments or questions from the board? Does the petitioner feel compelled to speak to what Trustee Cook just raised, lopping off 28 of these homes?
We're talking about that little tail coming down that's right in front of the mansion.
23. So, does the cat have everybody's
Yeah,
tongue?
22 or
that's in here
23.
to-
It's either 22
Find
or
it in a minute.
23.
Who wants
This
to
picture's
step to the occasion here? Oh, the lawyer does, okay.
He's not scared of us.
You want to?
Well, first of all, I'm not scared to be up here.
Here,
I mean,
state your name.
I will say my name and who I represent for the record. Bernard Citron, the law firm of Thompson Coburn. I represent Loyola in respect to the amendments to this. We understand what, and Pulte too understands what COW is and the presentation today in terms of concept. It is our goal to answer any questions that the board has and to take into account your conditions. We can tell you that those units were added as we were discussing the additional funds to be put into the escrow fund, which again, I just want to make sure that was understood. And Joe, you did a good job with it. We appreciate that.
Well,
Because the
they were-
$3 million is not for maintenance. That's for actual improvements to the mansion, to do repairs. Normal everyday maintenance is still out of our dollar. So so we added those we added homes.
Those homes were on the very original drawings I saw
Were
day
they?
one, because I objected to them
No.
day one.
Yeah,
You know something, we hear what you're saying, and we'll look
I'm
again.
just telling you, they were not added.
Okay, I apologize.
They-
I know we
they-
added a few, I do know we
This is
added
not a new
some.
objection.
I do know we added
Yeah.
some because of the change in the increase in what the escrow
And if there's
is.
someplace to squeeze some in somewhere else, I would.
Well, let us go, because there's additional requests that have been put forward in Joe's memo that we're starting to discuss having to do with conservation easements on the trees and everything else. So as usual on any development that you've seen in the past, there's a balancing act, but we do appreciate the concern that you're raising on
Yeah,
that.
I mean, it would reduce it from 128 to about 106. And I'm not looking at the whole what's considered Part B, just the very southern tip of it.
That little bit right in front.
We understand the concern, and it is true, you have raised that from the past, so we'll look at that, and that's the purpose for being here today publicly, is to hear those questions, and see what we can do to balance out the site.
Otherwise, my other concern was the ongoing, with regard to the museum and that, and I feel much more comfortable about that.
Well, like we said, we didn't want anybody to think that the $3 million was for cutting the lawn. We want to make sure that people understand that, like, if something happens to the fence, we fix it. It's not out of the $3 million. And that's why we have set up, we hope to set up with approval of that agreement, an escrow that everybody looks at to make sure that money is being spent appropriately.
Okay, Trustee Williams. Go ahead.
I agree with what trustee Cook just said also, for the record.
You and Trustee Cook aren't gonna like me.
Right.
I know. Well,
For a
it's
change.
It's okay. I can live with it. Go ahead.
I want to talk about Exhibit E. It lists 2 only artworks.
That, Wayne, I think you'd be best, part of the issue is, one, we're not going to be able to, we don't have the funds to really repair all the artworks.
Okay,
And
where
part of
is
it is
that?
part of it is unless the building is made museum quality, which the 3 million wouldn't do, we
Right.
can't put them back in there. They will only get destroyed again.
It
But
needs special.
Wayne, why don't you,
Come on, Wayne, let's have it.
Wayne could better explain
Wayne
this,
and I
but
have it
we've
black
we've
and
gone through the artworks. We've actually gotten donations of people's time at colleges who teach preservation to help maintain this. And I'm going to let Wayne, who towers over me.
Wayne Majars from.
Can we talk about humidity? Is that,
Yes.
that's an important subject.
Senior Vice President, Loyola University. One of the first things we did actually when we received the property was we went through with our curator of our Loyola Museum of Art, all of the pieces that were in the mansion, both pieces on the wall and furniture. And we removed those that were actually of great value, and we actually have them downtown now at our Loyola Museum of Art on Michigan Avenue. Those pieces will come back at such time that we seal the building well relative to the windows and the roof and provide life safety and sprinkler systems in the building. The building was really not conducive to the storage of expensive artwork for the many, many years that that artwork was there. And we want to preserve it to the extent that we can. Some of it is actually being restored now
I see
and
that.
will eventually go back.
And I appreciate that. I would like to see something in writing stating that those pieces will come back.
Yeah, that's, we have no objection to that.
Well,
I mean,
you
I'm
know,
very,
okay,
I've been in and out of that museum for or that building, it wasn't a museum at that time, that house, because Mrs. Cuneo was still alive and living there. And there's some gorgeous pieces in there, and I certainly would like for them to be returned to the home with, of course, maybe I'm grabbing for that pie in the sky. I hope that someday the building will be brought back to, it'll never be back to its original fame, but at least up to the point of where we can enjoy that artwork again, whether it be, like as you said, furniture or
but
art.
The reality is that I think, chasing this artwork is like chasing the Holy Grail. Because in all honesty, Wayne and Tim, who owns it?
The university owns it.
I was
All
going
of
to say,
it.
they should, yeah.
All of it does.
Yes,
So it's all been bequeathed,
yes.
okay?
Yes,
Because,
That was my understanding from
Go-
John Jr. when
Yeah.
the whole thing was turned over, right?
That's great, that's great, okay, that's great.
Yeah, John was not.
So they don't have to put, spit back in there.
Right.
Just because we want it. Of course, we
No,
don't have
they
to
don't.
vote on Pulte either.
That's right.
So, it's just like another Bermuda Triangle. here.
No,
No,
we're
you
hoping
said
it's not
they
a
would-
Bermuda
they would give
Triangle.
us
The whole
something
point of
saying
this
that
is
someday it will
before
come
the board coming forward, and it's been 2 years since this initially started discussions, we determined, is what could we do to best balance the site, which initially was going to be maintained as is, and we found out just to keep the museum building without anything happening, there was no money to do it.
Right.
So the only reason we're here with Pulte is to be able to do something with the museum, and we understand the museum is more than just the building. We appreciate that, Trustee Williams, and we'll work with John and Joe and Bob to, we can only commit to certain things on the front end. That's what we were trying to say to everybody is it depends. There's no timetable because we don't know when the consultants, the professionals, and that's neither Wayne or myself or Tim, will say, yes, it is safe to put that back, because the last thing you want to do is expose it so that they suffer
Just my
deterioration
concern,
again.
Bernie, is that somewhere down the road, 10 years, 20 years, whatever it may be, somebody might look back and say, you know, the village board just let all of that work go and didn't
No.
do a thing to stop it.
We understand.
That's my bottom line.
We'll work through that.
I
Wayne,
wasn't born in
Wayne
Vernon
is the
Hills, but
man.
I felt
He's-
like most of my life had been in Vernon
Wayne
Hills.
is agreeing to this, so we'll work through the language that needs to be done. I'm looking at John and Bob, and it's not, we were just trying to be clear that, like, as of tomorrow, or maybe a year from now, it can't go back in, because there's
Right,
such
and I appreciate
extreme work that needs to be done to preserve that. But to answer Mayor Byrne is, we own it, so we do have control over it.
So, in light of, you know, all this discussion about you have to sell the land to put the three-bill back into the mansion, basically, if you own the art, you could sell it.
Yes.
Okay.
Why do you think I want something
And
big?
that's why-
gotta
No,
come
no,
back?
no, 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 no. No, this cuts to a whole different level in my
Exactly.
mind.
But that's why the agreement will be amended so that we can protect that issue. We're not
Yes.
trying to hide that. There was no issue about hiding that. We're fine with it.
Are there, my other question was, are there plans to get back to where the mansion can be used for any kind of performances, either
No.
musical or?
No, it's our hope to actually use portions of it for educational purposes now that we're committing such dollars to it. We know that that's been a soft spot for a lot of people in the village, but by committing this type of funds to it, we're hoping to get more involved and establish more of the educational purposes for which Loyola
Yeah, the only
is.
caveat that I would add to that is in our agreement with the foundation, we have an obligation until 2030 to continue, and it's in our preservation agreement, to continue to keep it open and accessible for some of those programs that you mentioned, Commissioner. However, going forward, our intent is for that campus to become the Lake County campus for Loyola. So, for example,
So we're going to turn this great mansion into a college?
no, for example, the pavilion that we added.
Oh, I'm not talking about the pavilion,
talking
I'm
about
talking
the
about the
mansion
mansion itself.
No, I'm talking about the pavilion.
Yeah, I know, I understand that with the pavilion.
Right.
You're talking about the addition
I'm talking
that
about the
was,
addition.
that was used
Yes.
for weddings and banquets and that
right.
stuff.
We're talking about
I'm talking about
establishing meeting rooms
the
upstairs.
going,
Yes.
for a number of years after, before you got it, there were a lot of performances of either music or theater stuff in the mansion itself, in the
Yes.
great room in the mansion.
Yes.
And that was a very interesting venue to host those kinds of events. And you're not planning on using that for classrooms?
No. Our plan eventually is to convert the pavilion, which is now a large banquet facility, into classrooms.
Right.
And potentially some of the smaller upstairs rooms, potentially for meeting rooms or conference rooms. But the first floor, great hall, dining room, living room, those types of places would continue to be preserved as they are.
Okay.
Continue to
So
be
there
the
is a
museum.
possibility of that
Yes.
continuing to be a place for performing arts?
Now, Tim, you have to come up, come on,
Talk, you have to identify yourself, Tim.
We don't want you to get shut out on here.
Tim McGarman,
Wait,
Loyola
don't-
University.
Don't run away, I'm
Hey,
not done
Wayne,
yet.
don't run away.
Yeah, hang on.
Within the preservation agreement, there's a commitment to open the facility 8 days a month to the public, including one free day a month for people to come. And we may, part of that might be to enhance the programming offerings and not have it just be tours once we get the place renovated. We've got to see what works, but I think we're certainly open to programmatic opportunities to help us fulfill that requirement. But in the agreement, we do commit to opening the mansion 8 days a month, except for a couple months when it's always been very slow to do maintenance and cleaning.
Well, I just say it because
So-
it's a nice venue. I have the
Right.
unique position of having been on both sides of it. I've seen a number of
Right.
shows there. I've also performed there.
I've seen you there.
And it was, it's just an interesting venue to do a lot of of small performance work in it. And I'd like to see that, continue. I understand with the pavilion having to be classroom, but I'm fine with that.
Well, I certainly would like to see that happen. I'm more interested in preserving the museum portion of it. With that in mind, will the chapel still be there?
Yes. Yes.
And that is so gorgeous. It's just
Is that-
breathtaking.
Are the artifacts, antiques,
Yeah.
valuable possessions all still there?
All still there?
Except for the
Yeah,
artwork that we-
except the artwork. The last time I was in there, it
In
was
the
all still
chapel.
there, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
I'm sure the people at home are, the ones that haven't been there going, what are they talking about? We're talking about one of the
Chapel-
most beautiful
chapel's
places
beautiful.
I've ever been in.
The stained glass
It's just
windows are
absolutely breathtaking.
Now,
Yes.
okay. Now, the staff has worked diligently on whatever we're
yes.
reviewing tonight. Anybody from staff want to speak to how
Any
we should go
questions?
forward? No, how we should go forward tonight.
Well, I guess the question that I would send back towards the committee is, do you want to have Pulte come up and walk through the site plan and then talk a little bit about the architecture of the buildings, et cetera, to give you a sense on that? And then the second part of this is the consideration of the the Mansion and Gardens Preservation and Campus Development Agreement. Are you comfortable enough with that agreement to direct the staff to move forward and prepare some of that, with the understanding that while that agreement spells out a number of things, there's still work that has to be done on it, number one, and number two, that there's a clear understanding that that agreement, without the development, without the entitlements, without any of that, doesn't go forward.
Right.
It doesn't.
Which is an
any-
understatement.
Yeah, I mean, I think the key element for Loyola, especially tonight, is to get some direction with regards to that development agreement and be able to carry that back to their board to present, in fact, that they are making some progress with the village and with the developer, which will then allow them to continue on with Pulte, sending them into technical review and the whole 9 yards here,
Right.
so.
Right, but I mean, okay.
Well, Tim has never seen anything. I don't know about everybody else.
Well, you can't worry about that tonight.
But we can. He
Well,
can give us
well-
a short presentation.
Oh, no, I understand that.
You've got all
But
these
I mean,
people here.
In essence, this is, the Pulte is like over here, okay? What's over here, or more importantly, is, the agreement between us and the county and Loyola. So
True.
Pulte, you guys, God bless you, but you're kind of like sitting on the bench, all right?
Mayor, if I could,
Yeah, counsel,
Please.
counsel us, please.
I think there would be no problems amending that preservation agreement to add the provision about the artwork. Loyola is willing to do that. That's easy addition that we can do. I suppose the concern I have is that the agreement also calls for 128 Pulte units on 53 acres. So although we can make an amendment, I don't know how, I don't think we're going to have an agreement that's going to be executable until we resolve at least the unit count, because I assume what happens to the unit count is going to, may have an impact on the
Right.
financial contribution that's able to
Right.
be
And
made.
the
So-
other ones are steady.
But more accurately, we still sit there, with 10 acres, that's, what, essentially OR&D or retail?
Well, it's zoned,
Obviously, we haven't rezoned anything.
No.
it's zoned R7,
I have a solution.
but the 10-acre Cuneo Commercial South is subject to a covenant that says it can not be residential.
Right.
So this
And
preservation.
that's
ag-
part of this project.
Right,
Right.
the county and the village have to agree to amend that covenant for this to go forward, but this agreement acknowledges that the agreement is subject to that. It's also, the agreement's also subject to going through the land use process. There's no guaranteed zoning here. The agreement goes into effect if.
So the two things that, one, I wanted to, again, emphasize that and respond to that for the record, that approval by the village board, and this is still at COW, approval by the village board doesn't guarantee anything.
Correct.
Number one, does not guarantee anything at all, as Mayor Byrne pointed out, there's a lot of steps that have to be had, but we have to start somewhere. A journey of 1,000 miles starts with one step, and we have to report back to our board, and hopefully with an agreement that's been signed by the village board and the county, so that we can also make the next steps and invest the money. But let me make
signing a prenup or
yes,
something? Okay.
that's a good way to. That's something. That is a wonderful way to look at it. But to amend the prenup, and I just talked with Loyola specifically because I understand this dichotomy or this sort of conflict that we have here now. Let Bob, John, and I work on the agreement, and we'll take out 128 homes, and it will just say approval of a residential project, or a residential project is approved by the village board. And that the agreement that will come back to you, hopefully, next board meeting, will say approval of subject to approval of a residential project is ultimately approved by the board and the county. And that way, we're starting now. We know the comments have been out there for a while, but we're starting now, and we don't want to cause this internal conflict. So let us move forward in that way, and I see Bob's making notes, but we don't have a problem with that.
Well, and I will very honestly tell you that the homes that I talked about, I would be much more amenable to them being there. The stronger the agreement is in terms of keeping this museum, the kind of venue that we've had. And the stronger that is, and the more that stays a venue for the kinds of things that it has been in the past, including being a museum, the more amenable I'll be to those additional homes.
And Tim indicated that since we're putting in the agreement to make it strong, that it has to be open for the public. With all due respect, tours, as Trustee Williams said, not a lot of people go through. We're all investing. We have invested. We're going to be investing in the future of this museum. So those type of events is a good way to getting people to go through there. So we're very open to that. We will work with that, and I think we can do that subject, and I don't want to count things before they're hatched, but subject to committee of the whole recommending that this go forward. We'll work between now and the next board meeting on the very issues that you're commenting on, which is strengthening the agreement, redefining sort of the art. It probably will be phased in, is what we'll have to do is say, this can go in here, this can go in later on. We can add the language on the chapel. That's easy. That one's an easy one to say. The chapel will be preserved as is because we're preserving it as is. I mean, it is a Jesuit university. They're not into taking those things out, okay? So we'll do all of those things. But I am asking you to let us at least change the agreement to take out that number of units maybe and make it more generalized, because at the end of the day, we don't know. Maybe we can put some back in, but it's 126 units by the time we're done engineering the site, and now we have this agreement that says more. Or maybe it's less than that, whatever it ultimately comes. So we'll work with staff if given approval to change the agreement to allow this to move forward. So again, we can make that first step. I'm done.
So R7 represents 12 units per acre? And that's zoned?
Yes, sir. 14 and a half units per acre.
Going back?
Yes.
To 1988.
Yeah, when we annexed it in.
Yes.
Right.
Okay.
Well, this comes out to what, 2.4?
This isn't quite as dense.
Yeah. I mean, it's like about 2.3, 2.4 per acre, correct?
We will probably suggest a rezoning so that the zoning on that is clear. Although R7 does allow single family, it's probably more appropriate to zone it according to the use, more closely to the use than R7.
Oh, that would be smart, I think.
No,
somewhere down the
I
road,
understand it. I mean, I can remember going back before, well, Wayne probably was here. Tim, you could have been here. But, Berchtold, Yeah, you know, and there was conversations, maybe it involved you, Wayne, it could have. You know, we're thinking about doing, you know, 6-story buildings for senior housing, affordable senior housing, and blah, blah, blah. But in deference to that would use as much land. Right? If you go vertical. So, you know, yeah.
Right.
So, you know, Pulte's out, and let's go back to those original
Don't pass that.
discussions. Hey, just because Pulte's here, seriously, I mean, that was, that's something we talked about. And in all honesty, that would have preserved a lot more green space in there. And, made it probably more pastoral.
That's a word.
Wayne, that's for you. Take that back to the press. In essence, we're pretty far along in this process.
yeah.
We've really, been working together, and Aaron Lawler now has the floor. Since
Whether you want
raised-
it or not, you
Well,
got the
no,
floor.
I mean, this is tied into the sewer and water
No,
agreement.
exactly.
It goes back to 1995 or a year earlier. Who was here then? Raise your hand, Stan.
I was, but I was in Tom Cook's class.
Barbara was there. Yeah, he was in Cook's class. And then, Cindy was here, Tom was here, I was here, Barb was here, and Bertie was like, actually working
Bernie's
for us. There's a conflict of interest right there. Bertie working for you guys. I'm only kidding, Bertie, because I know attorneys don't ever have a conflict of interest. So in essence, Dave was here. And, of course, Larry. But, this is a process that's tied into the whole Greg's Landing, development, and, where, I guess to get the ball rolling, we agreed to, land resource management agreement and then the sewer and water agreement. And that's where we are now, because they don't have sewer and water, and that's why Aaron wants to
Exactly.
talk.
I mean, the bottom line is when you look at the way Greg's Landing was built out, John will tell you, we have a net, about 100-unit buffer. I'm sure you've heard that before. So really, we are increasing the density ratio by about 28 units roughly. So there's not a big.
So we're at about, we got 100. If they wanted to do 100, we'd be okay.
Well, there's also a residential prohibition. So the county board has these
Well,
agreements.
yeah, and the Cuneo.
Correct.
That's right. Yeah,
So the
you're right.
county board has these agreements
Right.
all over the county. They date back a number of years. And really, the way we look at it is, we don't just open them up for the sake of opening them up. There has to really be a public benefit. And so what here is the public benefit? And to me and to you, I think the community, the public benefit is maintaining the mansion in a way that it can be accessible to the public. And that's why I appreciate working with the board, Loyola, to get that number up, to get the escrow fund up to $3 million, which I think is very important. I think in addition to the issues that have been raised by the board level, at the board here tonight, the Milwaukee Avenue corridor, that vista of trees is very important to me personally, and maintaining that vista I think is a good thing, as well as the adjacent residential buffering. I think we've achieved that. But moving forward, it's critical that as we look to this project, that we're maintaining the mansion. I think the ability to recruit Loyola here, to have a university presence, is a strong community public benefit. And so I think at the county, we're ready to move on this as soon as all of the attorneys kind of get together and get a final work product finalized that we can vote on.
That's good news. Great.
For the sewer and water.
Exactly. I mean, there's a number of things in the
And
land management.
128 units versus 100, come see, come saw, based on what we decide
Well,
as
and-
this board.
And we, the development plan increased the number of units in order to achieve that public benefit,
Right.
which is revenue, to take care of the mansion. Hopefully Loyola is a community partner for 100 years, but if they're not, we want money there to be able to help take care of the mansion.
Yeah.
So,
And, what Aaron is speaking to is the fact that this conversation's been going on for how many years now?
Oh, my goodness.
3?
Uh,
3?
This-
2?
Oh,
Two.
we started meeting.
This one has been
John,
going
you're
on
like
for
the
2
catcher
years
and I'm
ago.
a pitcher there, so you're giving me how many figures?
Two
but it-
and a half at least.
Yes, I mean,
I'll use that.
and again, in all honesty, probably the first meeting we ever had, you probably weren't there, but with the powers that be from Loyola, it was like, okay, you gotta fix this place. And we've been steadfast and, and I think we have an understanding with Loyola, where they will, finish what has been done. And for those gonna watch this on TV sometime, who must, don't have a favorite show, in essence,
Tape it.
the minimum, I think, to really do the internal infrastructure improvements at the mansion was at a minimum $5 million. And Dave, I'll ask Dave, where are we at? Are we into it a 2 million or $1.6 million or? How much? 1.5. Yeah, okay. But really to do it right, we need to go into 4s or closer to 5. And that's not touching up the frescoes, But the structural integrity of the building, right? Okay. And is the foundation we think is okay? And we have closure on that? Okay. So the basement doesn't leak even though we don't have sump pumps? Yes, we do have sump pumps. We do now? Yes, sir. Oh, is that been added? Yes, sir. Oh, God bless America. Well, and just make sure you still have. How much? $65,000. Okay.
I was gonna say, it
But
was
the
on the
important
list.
thing is that you have, sewer and water backup.
Right.
That's just my attempt to be quasi-humorous.
So where do we,
So the important thing is that there's been a lot of discussions here. So I don't have a problem going forward personally.
well, what's next step?
So
What
there's,
next step?
Wait a minute,
so
don't-
there's,
don't-
there's
we're not
2
done
items
yet. I
here
can't remember what I'm-
before the committee. If the committee feels that the agreement
You received a percentage?
is appropriate and with village attorney, working with Loyola and the county to amend the agreement per our conversation this evening, the committee of the whole can direct staff to prepare the necessary resolution approving the agreement. And then, so that's one item. And then the second item, if the committee so chooses, is to recommend directing Pulte to begin the technical review process, which is not saying anything other than allowing them to move forward through the entitlement process of reviewing the plans to go to a planning and zoning commission meeting at a future date. That's not to say there aren't a number of issues that need to be addressed, such as foresight architecture, and a number of other issues that have been addressed this evening, as well as those included in your memo and packet. But this is the first step to move forward with that
Well,
process.
let me, and in all deference to the folks from Pulte, does anybody want to speak to
Well, that's what I said.
what's been discussed here tonight as far as density? And in light of what, we've heard from Aaron.
Good evening, President Byrne, trustees and staff. Mark Mastroco with Pulte Homes. To answer your question, President Byrne, I guess I would echo Bernie and Wayne's comments about the challenge of balancing impacts on the property with the greater good that Aaron mentioned and all the public benefits. So if the board is so choosing and allowing us to move forward in the technical process, we'll work diligently with staff to continue to try to balance all of those impacts and benefits on the museum property.
But, you know, again, so we have to like balance, you know, where the 3 mil comes from. Of course, where the 3 mil comes from is between you and Loyola.
So,
Right? I mean, you're buying the land from them.
Correct.
We're not buying anything. We're trying to give you, you know, a product that really helps Loyola. Okay? You don't help me. You don't really help the community. Okay? How far should I go, John?
so what do you
Okay,
need?
cut it right there? Okay, I'll be good. All right, go ahead.
So what are the motions you need then, or what do we need tonight?
Oh, I'm looking at this, I'm just waiting.
Motion to direct Pulte to begin the technical review process. And then a second motion is to direct staff to prepare the necessary resolution granting approval of the preservation and maintenance agreement, subject to review by the village attorney and approval by Lake County.
Okay.
With the caveats that we talked about, correct?
Yes.
Regarding the artwork and the number of keys.
Right.
Okay, is
Which
there?
one do you want first?
Wait a minute, is that a,
They can be
Can we done it together?
We should
at
probably-
your discretion.
Do one at a time.
Motion, which one's direct staff to, direct Pulte to,
I begin with the agreement first.
oh, the agreement first? Okay.
Yes.
Motion,
To direct staff to prepare the necessary resolution granting approval, subject to review by the village attorney and approval by the Lake County.
so made.
second?
Motion is second, comments or questions? If none, roll call.
Trustees Schultz, Markwart,
Aye.
Cook,
Aye?
Grebe,
Aye.
Williams,
Aye.
Hebda.
Aye.
Motion carries. Okay, item 2.
I can't find it.
This item would be to direct Pulte Homes to go to the technical review process for the proposed development. And this would potentially appear before a planning and zoning commission at a date to be determined. And Bob can do the song and dance for the,
Okay, motion so made.
Is
Second.
there a second?
Second.
Okay, motion is second. Any further comments or questions? Roll call.
Trustees Markwart,
Aye.
Cook,
Aye?
Grebe,
Aye.
Williams,
Aye.
Hebda,
Aye.
Schultz.
Motion carries, and village attorney, corporation counsel, Kenny will speak.
So this is a concept presentation. It gives you an indication of a first read of the village board's reaction, but there's nothing binding to this. Either one of these votes, it doesn't guarantee a decision favorable to the end result, but it does give you an idea of where they're coming from. And I know Bernie has said these words, so he can explain them if you don't get them.
Okay, everybody's understanding within reason of what went further? And plus, I want to recognize the landscape guy.
The landscape guy.
What's the name of your company?
Signature Design Group. Signature Design.
Yeah.
I love that name.
Because in all
Designer.
honesty, we've been through any number of concept drawings, but to this guy's credit, you know, he's done a nice job saving what could be saved there as far as trees and
Yes.
so on and so forth. So
Follow you on that.
this is probably the drawing we've been looking at for about an hour. Doesn't give credibility to what you did, in my opinion. You know, when we all sat down at the, you know, the banquet facility / classrooms now, which,
Thank you, Mayor. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Look forward to the opportunity and collaboration with you and your staff and the board.
yeah. Yeah, anyway, you were sitting without them, but that was probably smart on your behalf. Anyway, okay, you know, we're done with you guys for tonight. And Peter, say hello to Peter. You know, I talked to him about 2 weeks ago. Forker?
Well, that's where you can notice it.
Right there,
Oh, yeah. A citizen?
there.
Right there.
You know
All
Forker,
see
right?
that run,
Yeah,
well,
but
this
it's
is,
not going
this
there.
is, this
Peter
is not a
Forker.
road,
That's not a
though.
road.
This is the
That's the
boundary.
road.
This is the
Here.
road
Huh?
here.
This
Forker?
is dumping into here.
F-O-R-K-E-R.
All this parking for the mansion is gonna dump
E Okay,
out
that's
here.
too bad.
That's correct, because this is the parking lot.
Right.
This is the boundary.
See ya. We doing capital improvement?
Correct, because
Yeah.
this was the way.
Okay.
There.
Well,
You're not.
Thank you very much.
I gotta go back and find that again. Now it's
So-
driving me crazy. Good night, chief. Good night, chief. Son.
Thank you, Mayor. The capital improvement plan is included in your packet. As John had outlined, it's going to be a difficult budget process, and staff's prepared to do that. We understand the impacts and ask for any input from the village board. We will bring this back to you as part of the budget process, but just really giving you an opportunity to give us some input as far as priorities. So that being said, the spreadsheet, I've included one column that's actually this year's budget, which is a little different. Well, that's because this year we have a list of delayed and deferred projects that we're not moving forward with this capital budget. So that's the first column that you see that says budget FY 15-16. I've highlighted in blue the proposed budget, so it really stands out for you.
There it is.
So we'll jump right in. So the different categories, the road rehab program, instead of the typical $1.2 million recommended, we will be going with a smaller program this year, $800,000. We're looking at potentially the new Century Town Manor Home areas as being one of the core areas. It's one of the street dedication streets, and it's showing its wear. Preventive maintenance program, substantially, we're keeping it the same. We're going to work with Mundline to obtain their hot box, and we're going to try to do more pothole patching in-house, knowing that times are tough. Bike path and sidewalk improvements, really no proposal to change, slight increase of $5,000 per year moving forward just to keep our sidewalks maintained, but no new initiatives are proposed. Should the board have any comments, by all means stop me. If not, I'm going to keep rolling forward. No new traffic signals or roundabouts are proposed. A consultant feasibility study of $30,000 is included so we can look at different options along Greg's Parkway. $450,000 has been added in a placeholder for a future year, FY 18-19, should a traffic signal be funded. You did approve of the Faust additions. This would set us up that we could use federal dollars for any of those improvements along Greg's Parkway once it's approved. Capacity enhancements include the larger Lakeview improvements. That's been discussed before the village board before, and direction was given to have Civil Tech move forward with the design. The best available information we have right now is it's $2.5 million. The unknown is we have never moved it to the state to understand what is underground, that the utility companies can tell us this is how much it costs to relocate. So that is more of our unknown. Let's see. Additionally, $40,000 has been added to include potential improvements to Aspen Drive. As you know, we're hearing from whether it's the Park District or the schools, that there's a potential Sullivan Center and Hawthorne School expansion. We understand there's going to be impacts to Aspen. We want to get out in front of that. Let's see. Proposed VHAC improvements are very modest at $65,000, which includes $20,000 for the design of a shelter from this current budget. My recommendation, given the situation we're in, I do not recommend that we move forward with the design of a shelter for $20,000. That's something we certainly can talk about in future years, but it's an expense I don't think we can afford at this point. let's see. Open space stormwater improvements, bear with me, there's only maybe 6 more categories. Open space stormwater improvements, consistent with past years, with some exceptions. We are running into, we had abandoned our local drainage program. We're asking for $30,000. We'd like to look at certain areas, certainly in the Deer Path A streets that have undersized storm sewers, 4-inch drains that are connecting a number of homes, and they're becoming unfunctional, and they're not maintained by the village, and that's creating some problems for a number of people who are relying on substandard storm sewers. Let's see. The Sullivan Woods Drainage Way is something that I'd like us to talk to the Park District as part of a future Park District Village Liaison meeting. Downstream of the golf course, trees are falling. It's becoming a snarled mess, and it's not a responsibility. It's the Park District. I think we need to have some discussions. I have had discussions year after year as far as we really need to do something.
Over the
We
Sullivan
can,
Woods?
within Sullivan Woods, I'm sorry, immediately south of the golf course into Sullivan Woods. Thanks for that. We need to get in there.
Are the trees affected all the way down to the township property?
The worst, they are. The worst case is specifically downstream of the golf course and that first stretch before you get to Indian Creek.
Yes.
So that money that you're talking about here would be basically be, at least right now, a one-time thing that would cure it for quite a while.
We think so, yes. So 100,000 would be our match. The Park District would put in 100,000 and see what that can buy us. We would throw our forestry staff into the mix and see how they can hold down costs with our own in-house labor. But it's something that is only going to get worse if it's not addressed, and I don't think anyone's been in there for over 5 years. So something we should have more discussions with the Park District.
Right.
Thank you. Let's see. Lake Charles is being impacted by upstream sediment, and $200,000 is proposed in FY 18-19 should grants be available. That's one that I know we have to take a hard look at whether or not we want to pursue that. As John had stated, I think we're really looking at a skeleton type CIP. So that's in a future year budget. I don't think we need to make a decision certainly tonight or this budget year. But your input is always welcome. The Deer Path Metal Culvert was approved in the FY 15-16 budget, and it's on the delayed deferred list. We do need to move forward with that. What I'm recommending out of this year's budget is we use some of the roughly $120,000. $30,000 out of this year's budget we would use for design and put some plans and specs together. The $90,000 would be for construction, and it's in this year's budget. Only use out of that $120,000, only use $30,000, and then next year budget for $90,000. So this is something that needs to be taken care of. The inside of the CMP pipe, the whole invert is rusted, and we need to address that. So,
And where does that ultimately?
so that outfalls.
Like a 54-incher?
Oh, it's at least that big. I think it's 6-foot diameter plus, and it outfalls in the northwest corner of Evergreen Lake. There's some evergreen trees in there, and actually you'll see one of the trees is slightly slanted because of subsurface issues.
So, okay, so I'm going north on Deer Path. It's really, it runs obviously under Deer Path. It's evergreen.
Yes, yes. There's a connection from the subdivision. There's an extension going across Deer Path. So if you go to the north end of that park, there's the Park District path. You go easterly, and when you run into the lake, it's right where the pine trees are at that northwest corner.
How deep is it?
The pipe is relatively shallow. Relatively shallow.
Like a couple of feet?
Depending where it is, the cover, the cover is probably 3 feet over it. It's starting, anyway. It demands attention.
Okay.
Thank you. So went through that. Additional metal culverts of the same age also require some assistance. So FY 17-18, I'd like us to, look at additional improvements there too. Indian Creek Dam removal in FY 19-20. That's something if we had, some grants we may pursue. There is a sheet metal dam that's to the east side of Buffalo Grove Road, and debris, et cetera, is getting caught on that steel dam that's been in there for a while. That's one that's for future years, and in tough times, this may not be one that we want to pursue.
350?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay.
Harvey Lake improvements totaling $180,000 are also in a future budget year. Metro Station, we've discussed for many years, and this is really a carryover from past multi-year discussions. FY 16-17, do we want to move forward with the design of restrooms and construction in FY 18-19? Again, given the hard times, we may want to delay new initiatives such as that. Let's see. Future years, we need to paint and stain FY 17-18. $230,000 for resurfacing the parking lot in 18-19. $55,000 for LED retrofit in the parking lots. That's more. That's more of a wish than a need. It would just help us in terms of the electrical usage. For FY 16-17, we do want to look at that water quality pond. When you go to the Metro Station, right before the station, you look to the left-hand side, there's a water quality pond that's could use some attention. It could use some dredging. It could use some better landscaping around it. Pretty much it's all cattails right now. It's serving its purpose to collect the heavy metals, et cetera, off of the parking lot before it gets to the Corrido Pond. But that sediment needs to be removed. So we'll talk more on that. Fencing replacement is also in the FY 16-17 budget. The fencing all along the James Martin and Associates side, the cyclone fencing, has failed and it needs to be replaced. Village Hall improvements, we've deferred the carpet, so as part of the budget process, we would discuss whether or not you would like that taken care of in the next budget year. It was deferred from this current year's budget.
So, on the carpeting here, we have to maybe just change the color to tape. Isn't there tape on the carpet here?
Tape?
Tape?
Yes,
Tape.
duct tape.
Where?
Where?
By these, or are those just metal?
Those are metal.
Oh, I understand better. So there's boxes that allow when you put tables out
Right.
to open them up for electrical. So that's what those are. They definitely do need repair. As part of that, we would fix those boxes
Okay,
and the
so
cover.
that's a portion of the box, not tape.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
That's what I said, what tape? I'm concerned about the spots and the missing
So
over here.
we were able to, at your request, Trustee Williams, we were able to go through here and over one of the weekends, we did steam clean, et cetera. I think it looks.
I noticed that when I came in tonight, that it seemed to be lighter. I thought, okay.
Yeah, so we'll bring that back as far as whether you want the carpet replaced or not, and, that will be at a future meeting. Let's see, the parking lot, there's some patching needed. Mr. Atkinson was working with a cell tower carrier with the potential that they would do the patching as part of their program. Some of the discussions have stalled a little bit, so we have added some money in for patching of our existing parking lot here at the Village Hall. There's phone system upgrades, $80,000. That's proposed in the upcoming budget. Let's see. And then in FY 17-18, $200,000 to dredge the pond out here. It's starting to, at the Village Hall right here, it's starting to fill in with sediments, and cattails are moving to the center.
Question, I have to do something of a personal nature. Can somebody else adjourn to go in?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Take care of it.
Very good. A few smaller municipal golf course facility improvements, they're listed here. Again, we'll have more discussions on which ones are most important to the village board. Proposed Arbor Theater budget includes the final phase of the irrigation control cabinets, $30,000. We need to do path repairs also for $20,000. Future improvements, FY 17-18, we need to stabilize the shoreline, add some trash cans. Yes, $13,000 for trash cans. They are rather expensive. $12,000 for paint and staining, FY 18-19. Communication center budget includes $27,500 for backup electrical upgrades. The roof is slated for replacement, FY 19-20 at $120,000. Police and communication parking lot is proposed to be resurfaced, so both of the police buildings would be resurfaced for the next budget. Public Works facility, $164,000 for FY 16-17. The brine tank was on the delayed list. We'd like to move that forward into next year. Other FY 16-17 line items include we need to take care of 3 different roofs that are very aged and demand attention. The rear vehicle lighting of the very end of our building where the vehicles are stored, $15,000 in a future year budget. Some painting at $14,000, irrigation system extension, $10,000. Carpet replacement, $8,000, and some other smaller items. Larger items of any note, material bins, $60,000. FY 18-19 roofing for Section 3, which is the very back area, that will need to be taken care of at $80,000. Last 2 items, the Park District's Phillip Road building is being leased. We have delayed money from this current budget year, $30,000 for roof and concrete repairs. Should this become the village's building, we wanted to make sure there was money available. The roof does need assistance, and we did bring that to the board's attention previously, and that's why it was added to a budget. So that does require.
What is the cost for the roof, the complete to reshingle? Is 30,000? Is that what I'm looking at?
Yeah, of that $30,000, the roof is the higher of the expense. The concrete is probably like $10,000, $12,000. The roof's going to require some plywood sheathing in addition to just reshingling. You may recall there's one area that's already depressed and showing its needs. So let's see. So proposed for future budget FY 16-17 are fencing and paving, $30,000 and $20,000 respectively. And the last item, miscellaneous facility items, Kids Castle. $200,000 has been included in the budget. I'd love to hear what your opinion is on whether or not that would stay or not. And the last item, FY 1819, would be the demolition of the Lashen Center.
$200,000?
For the kids' cast, way back.
Maybe just a comment on that. That number is put in there as a placeholder, and it was put in there as a placeholder, coming away from the discussions that you all had with Jeff when he was here with the Park District, and then I think it occurred at a liaison meeting that there would be some kind of assistance provided there. So again, it's in there as a placeholder. We're not asking for your approval at this point.
Oh, that's good.
But it's something for contemplation going forward.
Flag that. It's just a placeholder. It's not a dollar amount.
Duly
Don't
noted.
forget.
As is the demolition number for the Lashen building.
I know. I saw that one.
Yeah, the Lashen Center did have a fire in their panel, and
I saw that.
yeah, so ultimately, if the Park District does hand us the keys back, I just wanted you to know my recommendation as we consider the demolition of that building. So that's my presentation. Thank you for your patience. If you have any comments, you can share it now. You can email us, whatever your pleasure, and we certainly will be back discussing this more as part of the budget process.
I'm sure.
Thank you.
Well, since Roger had to step out, is there anything else to come before committee?
I think
I don't have
That's
anything
it.
at this point.
I think that's it.
Motion to adjourn and go to closed session?
Yeah, for personnel and ongoing litigation.
Right.
Second.
Okay, that's what I was gonna say.
You want a roll call,
Roll
please?
call.
Yep.
Trustees Williams,
Aye.
Hebda,
Aye.
Schultz, Markwart,
Aye?
Cook,
Aye.
Grieve.
Aye.
Committee's adjourned. Thank you very much, and everybody have a
Have a
good
great
weekend.
evening.
Thank you. Weekend, you know what I mean.
It's getting close, it's only Tuesday.